Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. So today we're going to talk about AEW being in the red. So this article from Forbes was really just a puff piece. Now, normally I would read these articles to my audience, but since this thing is such a huge puff piece, and it's basically just Tony Khan, the little engine that could, who, is taking on the monstrous tyrant of WWE and Vince McMahon. You have this brave knight in Tony Khan with his sword and his shield, and he's going up against the giant dragon of Vince McMahon, with the toupee and the power. It wouldn't be a walk. It would have to be like a power flight with like his wings flapping wildly in the air, because people believe that's the narrative that they have going on here, and it's been the narrative since AEW started. That we're just a small company, and we're punching above our weight. Like his dad doesn't own a football team. Come on, man. And plus, of course, it ignores TNA and Ring of Honor, which are both companies that have been around for almost 20 years, and was national promotions at one time. It weren't national promotions long, but I mean, come on. They went from they were legitimately independent promotions that were really, really small, that was trying to compete. And I'm trying to compete nationally. They could barely get footing because they weren't owned by billionaires. Well, TNA was, but, it's how that turned out. But in any event, it runs with that narrative. It also runs with here's their success narratives with they beat NXT in the ratings and forced NXT to retreat to Tuesdays, even though that was a hockey thing. NBC thought they were going to get the NHL, and so they moved NXT to Tuesday. Similarly, when Warner got hockey, they moved AEW from Wednesdays. So they average 1 million viewers a week, which raised my eyebrow because I was like, since when? I guess it depends on how you're going to quantify that. But those numbers were not looking very good when NXT was on there. I stopped paying attention to the numbers. I'm not a ratings guy anyway. But those numbers were not like blowing me out of the water. I wasn't impressed. Let's put it like that. And then it becomes, they got 54% of their audience is under the age of 50, which, seems very random. And it seems like a really strange, why 50? Why not talk about what's their percentage of the audience under the age of 35? In any event, it was a real puff piece for Tony Khan, and it was very long. But in it, they revealed that AEW is losing, that they're in the red. I'm not going to say they're losing money. So let's read that part. So it says the $43.75 million AEW received from TNT last year made up the largest share of its revenue. But that's a rounding error compared to the publicly traded WWE's $974 million in revenue in 2020. Still, AEW's pay-per-view numbers and ticket sales are growing. The new show will add to its coffers. Khan expects its wrestling division to be profitable this year, though an 8-figure investment in video game development will keep the company in the red for now. So 8 figures in video game development. Now, I'm okay with this because, you have to spend money to make money. Khan has endless amounts of money. And he's been proven that he's willing to throw money away on this thing. So it is what it is. My issue is going to be that I saw so many wrestling fans, and when this came out, I shouldn't say wrestling fans, I should say AEW fans to be more specific. They're in full belief that Kenny Omega is going to come through, going to pull through with this video game deal. And I say to myself, Kenny Omega is a wrestler. Can you imagine him going in there like, Tony Khan, I've been playing video games since 1993. I am uniquely qualified to head a multi-million-dollar video game division. Give me the ball, Tony. Give me the ball and watch me score you a touchdown, Tony. It's like, come on, man. This guy knows fuck all about running a video game company. What the fuck is he going to do except waste the money? So if they got somebody who actually knows what they're doing, they may be okay. My issue has always been that AEW is trying to do too much too fast. They've been in operation a little over a year and a half. They are constantly churning out new merchandise, which and it's a lot of it is garbage. If we be honest, it's not really quality merchandise. It's high price bullshit T-shirts. They got the gay pride shirts, which whatever. And then you have the weirdo best friend shirt, which is like a pride shirt, but it's not really a pride shirt. And then you have this very very awkward FTR T-shirt that they have. It's called Fear the Rest Hold. It's like I looked at that thing and I was like, is this because like Dax, I believe, was actually supporting it on Twitter. And I'm like, I'm sure he gets paid off of this thing. Sure. But is that really how you want to market your guys? The rest hold? I mean, I'm not Booker of the Year. But one of the biggest things that people have been talking about lately is the ticket sales. WWE's ticket sales are slow in comparison to AEW's. And I just reflexively knew what the problem was. Off rip. People were like, oh, and I saw the video. I didn't watch the video because, again, I'm almost certain they didn't go into this. I saw the video that, WWE's sluggish ticket sales or something like that is indicative of an uninterested fan base. And I said to myself, what is the likelihood that WWE's ticket sales are significantly or lower because the prices are higher? What would be the likelihood of that? And then I did just a little bit of digging and found out that's true. And then most other people buried it somewhere in their article that WWE's ticket sales are low because they have extremely high ticket costs. So it's an oranges to tangerine situation. If I'm about to call it TNA, if AEW sells 1,000 tickets and WWE sells 1,000 tickets, WWE is their building is going to look more empty because they're going to be running a bigger building, but they're going to make more money because the people who in the building are going to pay more for their tickets. AEW's tickets are also going to be, smaller, but they're also going to be in a smaller building. And then you also have the other added context that a certain number of WWE's, I think they said 9, of their touring dates are not televised. They're house shows. And all of AEW's ticket sales are televised TV tapings. So all of that context is divorced from this conversation on ticket sales. Higher prices, bigger buildings, non-televised shows. All of that stuff should be talked about, but it's not. And I just don't have the energy to do any real research on it. I don't care about these stupid comparisons. All right? These comparisons are stupid. But it's this stuff that when stuff comes out that AEW is not doing as well as you think, that gets people to run in with it. Like, yes, there are some people who are hardcore AEW haters. There are. Just like there are hardcore WWE haters. And I'll tell you the truth, if Meltzer is not being paid by Tony Khan, he's missing out on a lot of money. He literally is. Because when you look at the sales for WWE's big events, they talk about Money in the Bank is going to sell out. In SummerSlam, they moved a bunch of tickets for that. But they talk about, oh, well, this show in Charlotte, that's not going to be televised or something like that, is not doing so well. I'm just like, I don't care. That's like, why do I care? They're going head to head in these markets. I'm like, I don't care. And that's why I don't do videos on that stuff. Because I don't care. Like, I'll do videos on stuff like this because this has been a huge talking point and it's got people thinking that AEW is losing money. Like, look, I never was one of those people, and to be quite honest, Meltzer has been one of the main ones that has been running around yapping about how AEW is profitable and they're making a profit, which means they will be in the black, not in the red, But so whatever, Now, are they profitable outside of that? Maybe that's all Tony Khan wanted to share. But I thought it was kind of weird how when they were added a second TV show and a little bit more money, they didn't get an extension on that Dynamite contract. It's still 2023 as far as I know. Why wasn't it bumped to 2024 or 2025? I don't know. But they've re-signed 2 or 3 new contracts since this thing started. But also for people who might say, it's because they won't be around. No, understand. I also did a video not too long ago where I talked about the streaming services. AEW is going to be fine because if for nothing else, Warner knows they're not in the WWE sweepstakes. So if Raw or SmackDown or whatever becomes available, they're not going to get it. They can just use AEW. I talked about this on Twitter and I was going to do a video about it, but I was like, man, nobody cares about this. But Fox revived I think the American Football Association or something like that. It's some old football league, American Football League, the AFL, I think. But then you also have the XFL. So what you have in this situation is you having these properties. They're just bringing, like, the NFL they want too much money. So what these companies are going to do is they're going to undercut the NFL by saying we're taking ourselves off the market. We don't want the NFL. We'll just have our own thing. We'll have our own American football or arena football or whatever the hell it is. We'll just have our own. And then somebody else will come in and probably buy the XFL and say, now we have our own football league. We don't need the NFL. And I see companies doing that to WWE. Like, you guys want $1 billion for SmackDown or Raw or whatever the hell that may be. Like, we could just go buy Game Changer, give them $4 or $5 million, buy the whole thing lock, stock, and barrel, and have the back catalog and everything, and not have to deal with this shit. And you know what? It might not be Raw or SmackDown. It might not have the name recognition, but they'll have wrestling fans who may say, that's interesting. I'll go jump to that. So AEW is going to be fine because if for nothing else, even if the ratings get so low and nobody is watching this shit on TV, they'll just move it to a streaming service and give Tony Khan money to keep running it. So AEW is not going out of business. They'll be fine. And I'm pretty sure Tony Khan knows this, that if, AEW starts to go under, he'll just sell it to Turner. It is what it is. I am not an idiot. Okay. May not be that smart, but I'm not an idiot. I'm not one of these people who thinks AEW is going to die. I don't. AEW is going to be fine. What may end up happening is they're probably going to start losing some money. They're going to start shedding some talent, but that's going to be probably in the far-flung future. Some people have said, like, some of the contracts for some of the people who signed up early, those contracts are not over yet, because we saw what happened with, like, Awesome Kong and some other people. When their contracts ran out, AEW chose not to re-sign them. They'll probably do the same thing with some other people. I could think of, maybe about 12 people they could do that with. But they're probably likely to let some contracts lapse and just let them go. But them being in the red is not really a big deal if it's only the video games. And that's if they're telling the truth, right? They don't have to share this information. They're privately traded, privately traded. They're privately owned. They don't have to give that information out. So he can say, oh, well, we're in the red because of video games. And that cannot completely be true, And when people talk about, they have growing pay-per-view, their last pay-per-view sold less than the previous pay-per-view. I don't think it was significantly less, but it was less. Now, the issue here is how much of that are they given to, I think is Bleacher Report is one of their partners, and I think Fights is another one of their partners. How much of that, let's say $5 million that they made, how much of that goes to Fight? How much of that goes to Bleacher Report? How much do they get? So those are all things to consider, But a lot of this stuff is really being overblown because wrestling fans want to fight and be tribal and to stick spears in one another, and WWE's ratings are down. Ha ha ha. It's like when people have the Friday ratings for AEW, I'm like, come on, it comes on at 10 o'clock at night. Like, of course the ratings aren't going to be good. Any normal adult is probably waist deep in either some pussy or somebody is waist deep in them at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. You will hope they're not sitting around watching goddamn wrestling all night. Catch it on a replay or something. I'm not going to sit here and just rip people apart and rip these companies apart for this. It's stupid. And plus TV ratings are not 100% accurate, which is one of the reasons why I don't care about them. But so I'm not against AEW, and I don't think AEW is in the red. Like, they're losing money. It's just that I see that they're making some decisions that I don't think are the best decisions in the world. The merchandise decisions, to me, they're coming out with too much stuff too fast for too many people. They're trying to, the action figures, same thing. They're trying to make too many action figures. They're trying to do too much. But I've talked about that on this channel before, that I think that they're growing too fast, or they're trying to grow too fast. They're trying to be WWE too fast. Build your audience, They're saying, well, fuck building an audience. We're just going to super serve whoever is here. And I don't know if that's going to work. We'll see. Well, let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe, donate, and I'll talk to you guys later. I can only be